Hey kiddos. Okay, today we are going to talk about making inferences. Now, I know this is something that you have already talked about a lot. I know that you know about inferences. But what we're going to do today is we're just going to do a review, right? We're just going to go over what do we remember about inferences, what are inferences, and how do we make those. Okay, so first question. There it goes, it loaded. Okay, first question. What is an inference? Do you remember what an inference is? I want you to think for just a second, and I want you to kind of ask yourself, do I remember what an inference is? What about a fact? Do you remember what a fact is? What is a fact? Think on that for just a second. What about clues in the text? What are those? What do I mean when I say clues in the text or text clues? What about background knowledge? What do I mean when I say use your background knowledge? I want you to think about those 4 questions that you're seeing on your screen, and I want you to ask yourself, do I know what those things are or not? And it's okay if you don't know the answer, right? That's why we're doing our review today. But if you do know the answer to those questions, we're going to use them today to help us. So let's go over it. First of all, we need to know our goal. Our goal is I will be able to tell the difference between a fact and an inference. Okay, that's all we're going to work on today. Being able to answer those 2 questions. What's a fact? What's an inference? That's all we want to work on today. So when I want to tell the difference between a fact and an inference, I have to know what they are. So let's dig in. A fact. It is a right there answer. I can highlight it word for word in the text. It's in the text. There's no guessing. Okay, so think about when you're reading a book. And if I were to ask you, what's the name of the character in our book? Well, guys, their name is usually right there in the book. That's a fact, right? Okay, my 3rd graders, you guys all read Charlotte's Web last year. So if I said, what's the name of the pig? You would be able to tell me Wilbur. And you want to know why? Because his name is right there in the text. It is word for word. It's a fact, right? I can find it. I can highlight it. I know what it is. Okay, let's talk inferences. They're a little bit harder, okay? I have to make a guess. They aren't right there in the text. That's where I have to use my background knowledge and clues in the text to make a guess. So, what is background knowledge? Background knowledge is anything I already know about, okay? Anything that I've already had experience with. My memories, my experiences, okay? Anything that I've read, seen on TV, all of those things are my background knowledge. Clues in the text are what the author has written for us. Okay, those words on the page, those are my text clues. And what I do is I look at a text clue and I think about, well, what do I know about what the author just said? And I can make a guess. Okay, kiddos, so now that we've reviewed what a fact is and what an inference is, what I really want to talk to you about is the question-answer relationship. This is an anchor chart that we are going to keep coming back to all year long. So let's look at it. It says, good readers think about the relationship between a question and an answer. Good readers think about what reading skills they will need to answer a question. I want you to think about this word right here, reading skills. What do I mean when I say a reading skill? Well, kind of what we're talking about today, right? I'm going to try to spell inferences in this little marker. It's going to look funny. We're just going to shorten it, inferences, right? That's a reading skill. That's something that we're going to work on and learn about. Soon we're going to learn about... What do you think I'm spelling? Let's play a game. What do you think this is going to be? Characters, right? Learning about characters. That's a reading skill. And so all of these together, they are skills that we have as readers to help us answer questions about what we're reading. So there are 3 types of answers, okay? There are right there answers. Now, when we talk about right there answers, I want you to think about when I said facts. Look at this right here. What does this say? Word for word. Remember our hand motion, right? We're clapping right now. Ready? Word for word. Okay? It is a word for word answer. So any type of question that says who, what, when, or where. right? Any question that asks that, it's usually going to have a word for word. And then later on in the year, we're going to learn about text features. And those are also right there. I can see them. It's a chart, it's a graph, it's a picture, it's a title, it's a heading, things that are right there, word for word, that I can see, right? It says answers that are written in the text, no guessing needed. That is a right there answer. So when we talk about facts, we are talking about right there answers. Another type of question that we're going to be using this year is think and search. Now, this is when the answer's in the text. I'm not going to really have to guess, but I definitely am going to have to read the entire passage and get lots of clues as I go to figure out the answer. Okay, so it's not right there. It's not word for word. It's in the passage. I can find it in the passage. I just have to read the entire thing and really kind of search for it. So things like main idea, text structure, point of view, and we'll learn about all of those things later on in the year. The other one that I really want to talk about today is author and me. And this, kiddos, is where we are going to spend a lot of our time. Author and me. Look, I kind of blocked that out. I don't want to block it. So let's look at this. It is the author's words. What do we call those? Text clues. And what did we just talk about? Background knowledge. Clues in the text, what I know about those clues to make a guess, and look what is first on our chart, inferences. So that is what we are really going to focus on today, knowing the difference between a right there answer and an answer where I have to make an inference. And we'll work on think and search, but right now today we're focusing on knowing the difference between these two things. When is it a fact? When is it right there? And when is it an inference? When is it the author and me? And we say author and me because it's the author's words and my background knowledge, right? Putting those two things together to make an inference. So let's look at our inference anchor chart, okay? Says good readers make inferences by using clues from the story and their own background knowledge to figure out something that goes beyond the author's words. So just like we talked about, right? Our clues from the text, our background knowledge, we put it together and we make an inference. Another word that you're going to hear for inferences is conclusion. Okay, like I can conclude, or a conclusion I can draw. But anytime you're having to use clues in the text, what you know, your background knowledge, put those two things together to equal something, that is going to be an inference. And that's what we're really going to work on today. Now, if you'll notice, I am in your reading response journal. This is your journal that you're going to have on Google Classroom. So anytime that you're doing a we do or you're doing a you do and you don't remember how to do something, you can come to these pages and these anchor charts will be here for you. And then later on, tomorrow, I'm going to put in some stuff right here that we're going to work on tomorrow so that you can look at it and remember how to do it. So remember, you can always come back here and look. So just remember, let's wrap it up, right? There are right there answers. There are author and me answers. These are facts. These are inferences. And that's what we're telling the difference between today. Right there is word for word. That's my fact. The author and me, that's the author's words and my background knowledge. That's an inference. So let's put it into practice, okay? This is my I do, right? Remember that when I'm doing an I do, we're watching, we're listening, we're paying really close attention because you're about to have to do the same exact thing. Here we go. Okay, whew, that looks heavy, but it's not, okay? Breathe. First, as a good reader, I'm gonna look at everything on the page. I'm gonna ask myself, what am I trying to do here? Well, it says I do, there's a big paragraph, but over here to the side, I see fact or inference. And then I see 1, 2, 3, 4. NASCAR's new rules were made to improve safety. Drivers now wear head restraints. Race car drivers are sometimes hurt. And race cars give off carbon monoxide. Okay, so what I have to do is I've read these 4 statements and I have to ask myself, is this a fact or an inference? Remember, facts are right there, word for word. I'm going to be able to underline it, highlight it, whatever it is that I need to do. I can find it because it's word for word. If it's an inference, I'm going to have to do a little bit more work. I'm going to have to look at the words, but then I'm going to have to really think about them and I have to make a little bit of a guess. Okay? So I'm just going to do the first 2 for you and then you're going to do 3 and 4 with me. So here we go. Number 1, NASCAR's new rules were made to improve safety. Number 2, drivers now wear head restraints. Okay, so I need to go into my paragraph, I need to read, and I need to ask myself, can I find that word for word, or did I have to make a guess to come to that conclusion? So let's go through. NASCAR is the National Association for Stock Car Racing. In recent years, this organization has made some changes to its rules. For example, steel and foam cushioning has been placed around NASCAR tracks to better absorb impact from hurtling cars. Think about how fast a NASCAR drives, right? They're going to need some safety measures. Race car drivers must now wear special head restraints that limit their neck movement during sudden stops. Oh man, that sounds a lot like this right here. Drivers now wear head restraints. And look what it says. It says right here, race car drivers must now wear special head restraints that limit their neck movements during sudden stops. Okay, so you see, I found it here. It's word for word here. This tells me that number 2 is a fact, okay? But I still haven't found number 1 yet. I haven't read that they have new rules to make safety or to have better safety. They haven't said that yet, so I'm going to keep reading. Air filters have been added to race cars to keep carbon monoxide out of the cockpit. The tires also have straps now to keep the wheels from flying off during crashes. Okay, so we found number 2, right? We can call number 2, bear with me while I do this here. I should have just maybe done an F, but we can call number 2 a fact. And you want to know why? Because I can go right here and I can underline where it says it in the text, and that tells me that it is a word for word answer. But what about number 1? Okay, let's change our color here. Okay, number 1, NASCAR's new rules were made to improve safety. Okay, well, it never says that, right? It never says that they've made these new rules for safety. Right here it says, in recent years, this organization has made some changes in its rules. So we know it's made some changes in the rules, right? So that's right there, new rules. But what about this safety part? What about that part? Well, it talks about how they have these cushions, right, to absorb the impact. We talked about the head restraints. We talked about air filters to keep out things like carbon monoxide. We even talked about tires to keep them flying off during crashes. Those are all of my text clues, right? Those are all the words in the text that the author gave me, all the clues. But remember, when I make an inference, it's not just about what's in the text, it's also about what's in here, what I know, okay? So I've got to think. They made some changes in their rules. There's cushioning to absorb the impact when they crash. They have to wear helmets because that kind of gets kind of crazy, right? They're driving a NASCAR. There's carbon monoxide, which I know is a deadly gas that if I inhale too much of it, it can kill me. And they're trying to change the tires so they don't fly off when the cars crash. So those are all my text clues. What do I know about those things? Well, I know NASCAR is cars that are driving 200 miles an hour, right? They're driving crazy. I know that they have crashes. And over here, it's talking about all these new rules to prevent crashes, to prevent deadly gas, to prevent their neck being injured. So I'm thinking NASCAR changed these rules to try to keep their drivers safe. Things like adding cushioning, making them wear helmets, special air filters, helping their tires stay on their car. All of those things they did to make it more safe. So what I know about number 1 is that it is an inference. The author never, ever said that they made those new rules for safety. I had to really think about it, and I had to think about, what do I know about NASCAR? What do I know about car crashes? What do I know about rules? Well, rules are there to keep us safe, right? So I have to use clues in the text, what I know about those clues to make this guess. So this is the guess that was made, that NASCAR's new rules were made to improve safety. Okay, good job, you guys. Y'all are doing great. Stay with me. We're almost done. So I want you to think to yourselves, if you are my online learner at home, I want you to think, what did I do to help me through that process? I want you to think for just a second. What did I do to help me? Okay, let's go through it. First, I looked at the whole page, right? I didn't just start reading. I looked at the whole page. I looked at the questions and I tried to figure out, okay, Miss Megan, what am I reading for? What do I need to look for? After I read through my questions, I knew that I was looking for facts and inferences. As I read, I had my handy dandy highlighter out and I underlined things in the text that helped me, right? I thought through it out loud. I asked myself if it's word for word, it's a fact. If it's not word for word and I have to make a guess, it's an inference. Okay, so here's our goal. I will be able to tell the difference between a fact and an inference. Do you think I just met that goal? I think I did. I think I met that goal because I was able to tell you that number one was an inference because it was a guess. I had used clues in the text and what I know. Okay. And I was able to tell you that number two was a fact because it was right there, word for word. I could highlight it. Okay. So I think that I've met this goal. So now it's going to be your turn. On our next video, we're going to come back together and you're going to try some of these on your own. And don't forget, kiddos, if you are struggling at any point in time, come back and watch this video to help you. I can't wait to see the work that you guys do.